Changes
Hands
angle
from
there.
Nathan,
Nice,
big
nice
left
kick.
Here comes Jordan,
Jordy come back with those hands again.
Oh, yo, your boys are back again.
We are here on E. It is hot.
It's humid as fuck.
It is a hot summer's day in Sydney.
That's it. 2022. Oof. It's like hoping for big things. Well, like, you know, not as optimistic as like say last year. So
Is this the first podcast of the year?
yeah.
Nice.
That's it.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year, mate. I haven't seen you for a bit. It's been a minute.
Wow.
How was your New Year's though? Or holiday period?
It was pretty good. My New Year's was very quiet.
Mm.
I was asleep for the countdown. I value my beauty sleep, but also for some reason decided to go and run 50 kilometers on.
Yeah, I saw
New Year's
that.
Eve,
God
yeah.
damn. Wow.
So I was toast. I was toast by the time the fireworks. I had dinner and
Just
slept.
done.
What
Yeah.
about yourself? You had a little bit of a retreat.
Yeah, I went
to the
down
countryside?
To mate's property down at Oberon. That's it. And just living farm boy life. It was good. I just really liked it, you know, just basically fishing and shooting shit. Yeah, it was good fun. And also just kind of get away from everything, you know, put down the phone, which was a big thing for me this year. I think I need to put down the phone a lot more coming through.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah, definitely. All right, but we're starting the year with a bang. What a first guest of the year. And he's been on here before. So he is 1/3 of the Muay Thai hour. And he is the owner of arguably one of the best teams in Australia at the moment, Muay U in Canberra. It is Kieran Walsh. How are you today, sir?
I'm good, man. How are you? I was just, Hugh, when I saw you do that 50K on New Year's Eve, and last year I did 50K on New Year's Day, but when I looked at your pace versus the pace when I did it, I was furious, man. I'm like, when it came up in my memories and it showed me the pace, I was like, I'm not sharing it after I saw Hugh's one from the day before. Yours was like, man, it was like 5 minutes 30 or something, a kilometer. Was it not something 5:35? Don't be bashful, man. Like, you can just tell the people how fast you are.
I honestly don't remember. Yeah, it was. I can't remember, to be honest. It was 5 something.
It was a lot more than my like 9:45 or something slow that mine was when I walked the last 20. But yeah,
I tell you what's funny though is every time I put up something like some road work I've been doing or something, I get like, you know, questions from people. How often do you do this? And then I put up my New Year's Eve run, the 50, and I got a couple of like DMs from people like, how often do you do long running? And I'm like, you don't fucking think I do that with any semblance of regularity.
Man,
I'll never do it again.
Oh,
yeah, it's not on my list. I think I have the attention span for like 6 kilometers at most. I reckon anything past that, you've lost me, man. I'm disinterested after that.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Man, I'm sitting here like that meme just goes, I did 9 something. Yeah, I did 5. And I'm sitting here going, you guys running?
Running?
But like, let's get into yours, because like you have lined up a pretty stellar year so far. But like going into like last year a little bit, just a little quick review, and like we'll really kind of dive deep into it, because like I look back through your Instagram. I'm just a stalker. Basically, what happened for the team Muay U from there. So you had like Dan Marshall winning state title, WBC title against Jamie Allen, great fight.
Good fight, yeah.
Davina Martin, good breakout year for her. Had a close loss for Marina, sorry, I keep saying that wrong. But then comes back and has an awesome win over Samsarat. David Pennimpede against George Mann, world champion. You know, Gabrielle took on very much experienced companion like Lucy Dedman, then comes back and gets K of the Year for Muay Thai League. Then 2 pandemics steal 2 shows from you. And Canberra goes into its first lockdown as well. You bust your cherry on that one. And at the same time that young prospect Max McVicker joins the team. And then to cap off the year, goes 6 for 6 and signed to Sydney with Diandra Martin, like amazing K over Yolanda Smith. It's like, so mate, like looking back for yourself, how do you feel going into 2022?
Man, really good. It was one of those years that was, it was a bit hard. It was up and down. Everyone was up and down, right? So I'm not saying that we're unique, but we had such a good start to the year, like a few other gyms were lucky enough to have. And it felt like it I remember sitting there thinking, this is going to be an awesome year. And then, we had, that lockdown, that was actually our second lockdown. So when the whole country had that sort of first wave, that initial flatten the curve lockdown, we got grouped into that as well. But then this most recent one was the longest. So I think we ended up having 12 weeks in total from this second one, which was, I think we went into it maybe 6 weeks after you guys, I think, or something sort of roughly about that. But I mean, I'm counting the two or 3 weeks where we weren't allowed into the gym either. And that was effectively, we couldn't do anything during that period, because even in places like Sydney or Melbourne, where you were able to do outside personal training, we weren't. Ours was just strictly nothing. And so that was just complete. It was like a complete stop. There wasn't, I can go hold pads, or we were going and hitting pads in the park with some people that lived within the distance that we were allowed to be.
Yeah.
But even then, it was not explicitly that we were or weren't allowed to, and sometimes got told off. And it was very much flat. But then, we managed, when we got back, it was like, okay, let's go. We've got 2 months left of the year. We have a couple of shows left. Let's just smash it. And we did. The buzz and the vibe in the gym was great. And we just, man, it was an awesome finish to the year.
Absolutely, it was. Like a lot of things across the, I mean, look, it was like you say, you spent that many weeks in lockdown. It was still a pretty busy year. Like there's a lot going on from the start. Helps, as you say, with the early start. I think like Dan and Davina's fights were February, was that first 1774. So you can get a bit more in when you get on the front foot and start early. But we'll run over a couple of things that are a bit more recent, still fresh in people's minds. I'd love to get your thoughts on kind of the experience going down for Rebellion, because Davina's fight I thought was absolutely awesome. And like we were talking about a bit before we started, that I feel was a real breakout fight for her. With the caliber of opponent, but also taking the Jordan Coe Award. So what was that like? What was the experience like getting that win over Samsara?
It was great, man. I knew Davina could do it, but because, I mean, she's much like her sister, but in a different way. They both show experience far beyond the number of fights that they've had. Yeah. And a lot of their experience is gained in the gym by having such good partners to train with. I mean, Davina has to put up with her older sister trying to bash her all the time. Which, when you've got Diandra Martin trying to bash her, you're going to get pretty good. But then she's got everyone else along with her. Yeah. And it all started. So last year she won a gold medal at Nationals, and you can kind of fly through at that. But it was like, okay, she's sort of picking the right things up. And when she fought against Marina, that was probably the first time when people started to notice her, because in those first 2 rounds when she was fresh and before she had that bit of adrenaline dump later on, like she was kicking really fast and strong, and people were kind of like, oh shit, like who is this? Yeah. And so leading into it, Davina, I've trained a lot of female fighters, and at that weight especially, I've never felt anyone punch like Davina does. Like she is very physically strong. Yeah. So going into the Som fight, I knew that she could withstand anything that Som could bring at her. The only thing that I thought it might have been was the fact it was 5 rounds, and maybe Som could be smarter over the 5. Yeah. But I still believed in her, and I still knew she could do it, and we had a plan, and she stuck to it, and it was a great fight. But yeah, man, I was completely over the moon. Like I love Rebellion, and I think Rebellion is the best platform for fighters to really stand out and make a statement. And by having such a solid performance against someone like Som, who's a bit of a Melbourne darling, a Melbourne favourite, it was very much like I'm here. And it's also, it's the other Martin sister. Yeah. Sometimes when you've got like a brother, sister, or you've got a family, one can sort of outshine the other. And I think it was a moment for her to be like, nah, I'm just as good in my own weight division, and sort of put a stamp on it, put a mark on it. So yeah, I'm pumped for her for next year. I keep saying next year. For this year. Is anything locked in for her this year as of now? No, not yet. There's a few. Look, that weight is hard, and the thing is, it's either that. So Davina can actually get lighter than that. Davina can sort of fight around. I think the lowest she could probably get at a push would be below 51. And so, but realistically, the people that you're starting to look at are people like Joanne, but she's sort of upwards of 53 and 54. And then we're starting to lose. It's the same problem that Diandra had. There's not that many girls around anymore. Like, you've got your eyes on a few and you can be matched against a few, but it's like, oh, okay, put a bit of weight on and go up in those. Or do we wait until some of the less experienced girls get a bit of a come up? And I don't mind giving away weight. I don't mind giving away experience, but especially girls at that weight, they're just hard to find. You know, for her, we're looking at really, you've got, like Joanne, you would have had Spring in the past. I think she's a bit heavier as well now. And then you've got people like Kim Townsend, and that's a massive jump. You got Soraya, but that's not, I would never take that fight because Aram is one of my best mates, and so is Soraya. And so, and the Martin sisters are really good friends with Soraya too. So that's one, we don't mind fighting our friends, but that's one I would just never, both Aram and I have said, no, we just don't want to do it. So there's a few there that you can see, and I'm sure one of those fights will sort of lock one of those in soon at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. And moving on through, I mean, actually, just to come back to one of the comments you made, because we are going to talk a bit about Diandra now, of course. That might surprise you. That's going to come up. But like, I had a couple of questions in the lead up to Rebellion that were like kind of around the podcast, the preview podcast and stuff like that, when people were like, oh, so Diandra's got a sister. Like, she any good? And I was like, no, man, it's not like, she's not Diandra's sister. Like, she's really, really good. Like, so I think that's a really, and also I think there's always a little bit of, I know for me, obviously I was in the blue corner as well. I thought you guys were second fight, right? So it was early in the night.
Yeah, it was
from memory.
Second or third. Yeah, it was like pretty early up. Yeah.
Yeah, to me, like the vibe of like Davina taking that win, because it was like, I think she was sort of overlooked just by nature of, as you say, Son being kind of like the darling of that crowd. She's very popular and has that beautiful style. But like, to me, that was when Davina went and got that one, it was like, yeah, we're on here. The blue corner are going to get some. Yeah, but so we'll move on through December, because a couple of weeks later, obviously, we'll touch on the main event, but is there any particular shouts that you want to make from your kind of up-and-comers on this Young for Sydney card the following weekend?
Man, Dan Talker, who beat Reece Castledine from PTK. Yeah, so Dan, that was Dan's, I want to say 7th or 8th fight. However, realistically, it was only like his 4th show, because he'd had 5 of his fights on an Albel Cup.
Yeah.
So he had 3, the very first Albel Cup, he had 3 fights, 1, 2, and lost in the final. The second Albel Cup, he had 2 fights, 2 wins by stoppage. So he had 5, and then he'd had his first fight before those. So he has he jumped into quote, obviously we call it pros, we're not always going to call it that, but quote unquote professional in New South Wales, off the back of maybe what might not be as much experience as other people have, or is sort of just gone from those fights straight into it. And man, he is in the gym like one of the hardest workers, and he's always just like, man, he can't do anything wrong, basically. He listens, he does what you tell him to do, he's really polite, he works hard, he never misses a session, he doesn't miss a beat, and he's the kind of guy that's always staying back later, doing extras and doing those things. So for me, it definitely would have been him, but it's hard because we went 6 from 6, and I was proud of all of them. They all did great. So it's really hard for me to, like, I want to give it in particular to him, notwithstanding obviously like Diandra and the like, but in particular to him because of the fact that from his first fight to now, he's never wavered and it's never changed. He's always just like, man, he's a coach's dream. He's one of those guys that they ask you, oh, like, how did he get so good or whatever? You go, man, credit goes to him too. because without that sort of dedication or that commitment, he could be very different.
Yeah,
it looked really good when I was seeing at the corner there. Like someone else that's been having a good run this past year as well, that when we talk about is like Gabrielle. She's been looking awesome. Like, she has to always fight like more experienced girls because, it's limited by a weight division from there. But like, we look back at the Muay Thai league, looked really good. And then Simon Sydney looks like she built again from there. It's like, so how do you feel her progression has gone this past year?
Yeah, really. I mean, Gabrielle is the same, right? It's why I'm like, fuck, I don't want to pick one out over the other, because it's like, I could just sit here and go, this person's amazing because of this, and this person's great because of this, right? And Gabrielle is another one. Like, she trains really hard. She's super dedicated, and technically is much better than the number of fights that she has, because she loves it so much. She just really gets, she's a perfectionist. So she wants to be good at everything too. Sometimes that's to her detriment. Sorry, Gabrielle, if you're listening, but you know that I've told you that. But it's also a good thing, because she just wants to be perfect and work hard. And yeah, she had a good year. She obviously fought Lucy Deadman on Rogue, which in my opinion she won. I think the judges got that wrong. I'm not afraid to say that. She had the high kick against the girl on Muay Thai League, which was great. Yeah. She had this recent win on the PTJ on Siam. And so, she's another one, right? It is a difficult weight class to find girls for. That's why we took the Lucy fight, because on paper, it was completely not, it didn't make sense to people. Yeah. But then you realize once you saw her in there, oh, okay, it does. So she's another one which is a lot different to what her record shows. Technically in the other one. She's another. She'll stick to it, I'm sure. And if we can keep getting her fights and keep pushing her, I don't know, I might have to send her off to Thailand or something, find some little girls. Yeah. We got to do something, man. I've got like 4 50-kilo girls at my gym. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's getting hard.
It's going to have to split in half, send them to shows, but just fight each other.
Well, they're just going to have to go.
The corner team in half.
Yeah, like Gabrielle fights them first, and then there's like a pecking order of who gets just Muay U. Yeah, it's just like a round robin or something, I think.
Whatever gets it, keeps them active.
Man, whatever. I don't mind.
But yeah, we'll give some special attention, of course, to the main event, because we didn't get much Muay Thai wise in New South Wales last year. There was some stuff in the news, you might have heard about it, but this was quite a moment to finish off the year. It was a big fight. Like, it was a fight that there was a couple of false starts, tried to get it happening, couldn't quite do it, or really, really almost happened at one point, and then got scrapped the week of. So a lot of build up for Diandra to take on Yolanda, who unarguably is the top female fighter of the last however many years in Australia. It was a big step up. It was a fight, like, we talked to her before what was supposed to be, before this fight was supposed to happen the first time, before it got scrapped, and she was taking the opportunity very seriously. And like, what a dramatic finish. Like, we've talked about it on the podcast. For myself as a commentator, I was like, this was one of the more challenging moments I've had, because like, I was struggling to process it. And like, I was just realized after a bit that like, I was just standing there with the microphone on in complete stunned silence. Like, it's my job to say something, and I just didn't quite know what to say. But I'm keen to hear your take, the preparation, the lead up, the moment. Talk us through Diandra's knockout win over Yolanda Schmidt.
For sure. It was, like you say, it was a fight that was meant to happen in the past, and it had, I think it was 2 false starts before we finally got it to happen. And one of the times, or the most recent time rather, was I think 2 weeks before the lockdown, or it was quite close to the lockdown.
Yeah, super close.
Yeah, like really quite close to the lockdown. Actually, I think it might have even been the week of.
It was the lockdown that canned the show in the end, because they got rid of a few of the fights, and they were going to scale down crowdless show. Right. And so we actually,
that's right. And Andrew and I actually had to make the decision before the full show got canned that we were going to can that one fight because it was interstate.
Yeah.
Because it looked as though some interstate restrictions were being imposed first. And Diandra is sort of not new to her job, as in started last week, but she's only recently become a fully qualified and employed exercise physiologist. So that she obviously had that to juggle as well. And she couldn't get stuck in Sydney for however long and so on and so forth. So we had to make the decision to cancel that. But this was always a fight that was bound to happen. It was the trade was weight versus experience because I mean, Yolanda has fought as heavy as 57, but we all know she usually sort of fights like 55, 54. But it's like 50 fights versus 12 was there. So it was weight versus experience. And man, I'll tell you what, like I don't think there's many 57 kilo girls that hit as hard as Yolanda anyway. So whilst the weight was different, the power was absolutely not. You can go through Yolanda's highlight reels and videos, and it's like Andrew said to me, and I think we said it on the Muay Thai hour, she's knocked everyone out with every weapon that she has. Punch, a kick, a knee, an elbow. Like, she was one of the first girls that a lot of people see to completely black someone out from a punch. Which doesn't happen as much with women. So she's strong. And Diandra, I mean, as a coach, I've lost to Yolanda a couple of times. Like, I know what it's like to be in the opposing corner. And Diandra took it really seriously. We had a game plan from the start. That never changed. We had a game plan from when it was matched the first time. It didn't change through the second time, and it didn't change through the last. And I mean, it showed on the night, really. Like, what we had planned worked. It worked early. And I didn't exactly bank on it 100% being a knockout, but something in my mind said that it was going to be. And, call it your gut or intuition or whatever people want to call it. But the feeling that I had before Diandra and Yolanda was the exact same feeling that I had before Josh knocked out Andy Howson. And I don't get that feeling often. It's like that coaches, Shane could understand. You get this feeling sometimes before a fight, and that one, I just felt it, and I went, something big is going to happen. I just knew it.
And did you expect it to be that big?
Man, no. There's a video of me. Max took a video of me afterwards, and I'm sitting in a chair back in Andy's gym, just like this. Man, the adrenaline had just it was incredible. And I did not expect it to be so early. I didn't necessarily expect there to be a knockout, but I was super confident that we were going to win. I knew it was going to be from the range and from Diandra's left leg. I knew we were going to win. Did I think, man, I still get goosebumps when I think about it sometimes, or when I see the video, because it's definitely up there as one of my most memorable fight moments for sure.
I mean, mine too, just from sitting out the back behind the crowd watching it. I was like I said, I was stunned into silence. But, like, a lot of this card was Muay U versus PTJ.
Yeah.
It was at PTJ. So, like, it was the right main event in that, like, there was so many people. Like, sometimes you get to the main event and half the audience has gone home. Like, there was a lot of Muay U supporters, a lot of PTJ supporters. And I honestly felt like the initial response, like, it wasn't like there was like an insane, like, the crowd didn't go nuts. They were just like,
So you can go back and watch it on the video, right? Everyone knows I'm quite animated in the corner. People laugh at me quite a bit with it. And the
CSA take issue with it.
I got up from my chair. Yeah, fucking talk about that. I got up from my chair, literally ran across one edge of the ring. I don't know. I couldn't control myself. Ran back, got up onto the ring canvas and looked and like put my hands up in the air and looked. I think this is the right chain of events. And I saw Yolanda, and it kind of switched, and I was like, fuck. And I turned around, and because our crowd was looking at me, like losing it, cheering it.
Yeah.
And I went like this.
Yeah.
And everyone just went silent. And it
was eerie. Like, it was, I've never been in a moment like that.
Because I was so pumped. Like, I'm getting goosebumps again. But it was just looking over at Yolanda and thinking, you kind of almost register the other side of it.
Yeah.
the elation matches. It's not sad or sorrow. It's reality.
Yeah.
The reality of what our sport is. And I kind of went, okay, we've celebrated. Stop.
Yeah.
Everyone just went. Quiet. And man, it was a moment. Like it was quite surreal.
It was, yeah.
Everyone went quiet, almost as like, it was almost like when fighters explain that feeling of not being able to hear anything.
Yeah.
It was almost like it was this mass psychosis of everyone just blocking everyone else out, but it wasn't. The whole crowd just went, oh, hang on. Like everyone realized. And yeah, man, it was quite a moment. And then, I mean, you saw it come to, and it was like, you know, great, like amazing, like really happy. And there's always something different when you have a knockout, and like taking Josh and Andy's one, for example, you know, Andy got up and the ref just waved it off. They're standing, it's okay. You keep celebrating. There's something different. It's the human part inside you really comes to the front when the person on the ground isn't moving.
Yeah.
There's something different about that. It's when you really click and go, yeah, shit, like this, you know, this is the reality of our sport, and it's there. It
just sobers you up really quickly, because like, you know,
does, absolutely.
Just like, just out there, like, just in that position.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you have that second or that third emotion when you do see them raise and speak and they're okay. You're kind of like, okay, cool.
Well, let me put a question to you boys from there, and you probably had time to think about it now, Kieran, at the moment. So we're talking about a big moment. Is this a big pivotal point in Australian Muay Thai history? This fight is like a passing of the torch from Yolanda to Diandra now. Does it have the ramifications of that?
I mean, I personally think so, because of what has happened since as well. Yeah. Because it was a catalyst for Diandra. I mean, I'm sure we'll speak about it being signed to one. So there's not only the knockout of Yolanda, but then there's also the contract to one. Yeah. So I feel like those two combined, I don't know if I'd call it passing the torch, but I would definitely call it, like, at least for women's Muay Thai on the East Coast, to me, it was quite significant. Yeah. And I can't really think of, in the last few years, I can't think of something as significant in women's Muay Thai on the East Coast.
Yeah, I agree. Like, as far as like when we talked about this to kind of preview it, that's how I positioned this. Like, this is, Yolanda has positioned herself as like the gateway to the next level. Like, she's an international star, and at the local level, if you get that win, that's your foot in the door. Like, that's what I was saying as we previewed, and of course, that's exactly what it was. Like, I'm always apprehensive to say like passing of the torch, because I think like
she's not going to stop.
Yeah, fighting. You know, Yolanda's still here. She can still do whatever she wants to do. Still an incredible athlete, and I'm sure there's more great fights ahead of her. But like, this is the time where, like, if you can't not believe in Diandra as one of the best Muay Thai fighters that we have in Australia right now. Well, you can, but like you're being stupid. Like, it's just unequivocal.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's something that we've always known at the gym, is how good Diandra was. And I think a lot of people knew that too, but because she, much like her sister, had her main standout performance on Rebellion when she had the draw with Tiff.
Yeah.
So when she had that draw with Tiff, everyone was like, oh, this girl's like, people knew of her, but you also have to remember Diandra still only had 13 fights.
Yeah.
She is relatively young in her fight career. And unfortunately, there's been pandemic and she's had a knee surgery and she's had this, that, or the other. But she's shown through a few pivotal moments like Tiff, like now Yolanda, that she's like, yeah, I'm here. Like, what, you know, the one that didn't get to happen was Brittany, and that was on Brittany Dolgai. That happened on the day. That show was cancelled on the day last year. But outside of that, there wasn't many other girls really for her to fight, because even after this, if it was not for one, I was sitting there thinking, man, I've got to really work hard at matching her after this one, because there's not many people left. You know, there's a few floating around, but we always try for better and we always try for bigger. And after Yolanda, and that it's no offense to any other girl in Australia, but after Yolanda, there was no bigger.
That's just the reality of it.
That's just the reality of it.
That's even on an international level to a point.
Yeah.
But that's where, like, you know, when we get later and talk to the one, it's you're going up.
Exactly. And so this is exactly the step. And I mean, one watches us. I know the guys watch us because of Joshy.
Yeah.
I mean, people in Australian Muay Thai have to realize that one has a close relationship with Australia, whether you think it or not. And so if you're doing well in Muay Thai in Australia, you are being watched.
Yeah.
I think people need to think about that quite closely. If you're standing out in your division and you are doing well, you are seen.
Yeah.
You don't have to keep tagging them in your videos, guys. Like, you're seen, trust me. If they want to sign you, they will. Or if they want to approach you and talk to you, they will.
And we will just segue directly into that. So, of course, it's worked out somewhat perfectly. Diandra's got the win over Yolanda. And now, we'll take on, like, this is a super match versus Smilla Sundell. So this has obviously all come together, like, quite shortly after the Yolanda fight. So what was kind of the process like? Was this kind of something that you had in the works prior to the Yolanda fight, or did it just sort of, was it a matter of this win started doing the rounds and the phone rang?
Yeah, Diandra was known, but like I say, most people are known until there's something that really makes it click.
Yeah.
And so Diandra was known, and then when that happened, it was like, oh, hey, hello. Like, we're one, we like Diandra. And we actually started to I don't know how much of this I can say, but I'll say it anyway, I don't care. We started to talk, and then it actually kind of fizzled out. It kind of fizzled out, and nothing sort of happened for a week or two. And then it was like a few days before New Year's Eve. So it's not like we've been training for this for like 6-7 weeks.
Yeah.
It just before New Year's Eve, I want to say maybe like, it was the 30th or the 29th. Hey, can Diandra fight Smilla in Singapore on this date? Like, you'll leave in 3 weeks. And I was like, fuck, all right. and you'll get a 6-fight contract.
Oh, very nice.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, and that, yeah, you take the opportunity. And so, yeah, there's the fight. There's a 6-fight contract, 2-year 6-fight contract for Diandra. She's got a great division.
Awesome division, yeah.
Yeah, awesome division. You got Jackie. You got, is it Supergirl or Wonder Girl? So I keep getting them confused.
That's Wonder Girl, yeah. Supergirl.
Yeah, you got Wonder Girl. You've got the Belarusian girl who's fighting Wonder Girl next weekend.
Iman Barlow too.
Iman Barlow, yeah. So you've got a few, man. You've got some great talent in there. So I'm pumped.
Yeah, and I have to feel like Smilla is kind of on your guys' radar as a future Diandra before that call came.
Yeah, I think Sai's pretty upset because he wanted to do it on Rebellion next year. Yeah, Sai was pretty upset, and I'd spoken to Matt Lucas about it too.
Yeah. He's been clamoring for it.
Yeah, Matt, he has been, absolutely. He and I have a bet that the loser of this fight buys the other one ice cream. So when I'm there in February, I got like whoever wins has to. Whoever loses, yeah, the other one. Yeah, so no money, no big bets, just ice cream is the bet for this one. Because I do get along with Matt quite well, and we have a relationship with Fairtex through Joshy too. So, but yeah, this is a great fight.
Do you have to buy him vegan ice cream then?
Oh, absolutely not. I will not associate my name with that, man.
So, like, from kind of, I guess, Diandra's perspective, it's a couple of days before New Year's, as you say. This starts getting the works. What was her sort of response like? Unexpected?
Yeah. She said, she was above the moon. This has been one of her goals for years.
Yeah.
She was like, one of her main goals was to sign to one and to fight the best. You know, that's what she said, like most fighters do.
Yeah.
And I rang her up and I was like, hey, what's your weight like? And I said, how would you like to fight? I said, how would you like to fight Smilla at the end of January on one in Singapore as the first fight of your 6-fight contract? Yeah, you know, she was pumped. She said, yeah, absolutely, let's do it. She's not one to turn down
anything.
She's not one to turn down a fight. No.
Yeah, of course.
it wouldn't matter who it is. Whether she thinks, you know, you take Yolanda, for example, man, she was, I don't want to say scared's not the right word, but it's the word I'm going to use. Like Yolanda was a big figure. She was nervous. Diandra was very nervous.
Yeah.
Diandra will get nervous. She'll act like a human, but she won't say no. She'll always be like, yeah, let's do it. And that's what she was for this. She was like, yes, absolutely. Like I couldn't have convinced her otherwise, even if I wanted to.
Yeah. I think especially for your team, like there's no real hometown show for you. So you're always the away team. You're always going in the opponent's backyard from this or that sort of status. So even in traveling overseas as well, it's pretty much like another day in the office for you guys, isn't it?
Yeah, man, it's just part of it. I don't know what a home show is. You know, with the exception of when Josh ran Chaos, you fought on Hugh and we had a massive crowd there, which was wicked. It was great to experience. I don't know any different, but also, man, I love traveling.
Yeah.
Like I hate to sound like a cliche, but I live the best fucking life, man. I love it. And I love to travel. I would not want to always be at home shows.
Yeah.
My favorite part of fight shows is traveling and staying at hotels and going and like, man, I just love the process. I love it.
And of course, now you as we say, you do a lot of travel. You've been to one a number of times because you now have 2 athletes under the banner. What's the vibe in the gym been like since the call came for Diandra?
Yeah, man, awesome.
Yeah,
unreal. Like it's just everyone's so pumped. Everyone, yeah, man.
As they should be.
Everyone just love it. I've got a really big team of fighters.
Yeah.
And they are all really close to one another. Like it's a really good group. And yeah, man, everyone is just pumped. Joshy too. Josh is pumped. Yeah, Josh is pumped.
I was also stoked to see Diandra first on the lineup because I've stayed up really late to watch some fights before. So.
Yeah. Looking at that card, that's a good one to go to. I got to go to the Pet Moricott and Petrosian match. That was cool. Like I seem to always luck really good cards when we're on. Yeah. And this one with the World Grand Prix, like one person I've always wanted to see fight live is Murat Gregorian.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
Guy is just fucking incredible. And I've always wanted to see him fight live. And yeah, it's a sick card to be a part of. I'm pumped. I can't wait.
Yeah. And speaking of your other fighter that has had success on one championship, Josh Tonna is getting back in the ring soon. I'm keen to hear about this one, right? So he won't be competing in one this time around. We'll be heading to Thailand to fight on the new Lumpinee Go Sport show. So run us through what that process has been like. What are you expecting from this one?
So he's been matched. Yeah, so he's been matched on the Fairtex promotion, which is run by Prem, and it's probably the first promotion, and I think, and Hugh, you'll know better than me, I think their first card is maybe is it this weekend? Or next weekend. Yeah, next weekend.
The 16th, I think.
Yeah. And it's the first time that MMA is going to be at Lumpinee. MMA and then 3-round Muay Thai. So it's been hard for Joshy to get a fight, and flights are still difficult and whatever and blah, 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 blah. All of that aside, it was like, it's been over a year since he fought Same.
Yeah.
And then between Same and Andy, and then between Andy and Morimoto, like it's been years and it's only been 2 or 3 fights. And that's quite hard because, as everyone knows, Joshy is a bit older, and whilst you might have time to wait for someone who's maybe Diandra or Max's age, we don't have as much time to wait for Joshy. And so I spoke to Fairtex and Matt Lucas in particular, and I said, man, like, let's get him on this. We just want to get a fight. And he said, yeah, go for it. And I said, if I requested, because they've got the new format, that we do it in 3 rounds.
Yeah.
So it sort of sticks in a similar format to one, and we don't look like we're deviating too much from the process, and Joshy can still continue to train for that. And I mean, we're not going to sit here and lie either. Like, Joshy is not built to play the 5-round stadium game either. Joshy can be a very smart fighter, but man, he likes to fight.
Yeah.
And that kind of format is much better for him. And yeah, it's.
Yeah. And for anyone listening who's wondering what we're talking about, for a bit of background, Lumpinee have Fairtex have invested in putting on shows in the new Lumpinee Stadium, which has been, I guess, kind of like post the most recent lockdown, has been undergoing a little bit of a facelift. Like they're trying out a few different things. So shows on this new Fairtex promotion hosted at Lumpinee will hold classic Muay Thai, what they call extreme Muay Thai, which is what Kieran describes, following the one championship format. It's in MMA gloves, or it's
no. It's 10 out. Yeah, it's regular gloves. Yeah.
Okay. And actually, no, I might be wrong. I actually think it might be 3 rounds across the board, but they've got MMA gloves and big gloves as well on the different portions.
It's a bit all mishmash, man. Plus it's Thailand, so who knows?
Yeah, but there will also, as you mentioned, will be MMA at Lumpinee, which is at a time would have been completely unheard of. Well, not like it was unheard of, but you wouldn't have even thought of it as something that would be considered. But the game's changing.
Yeah, look, it's Lumpinee by name, but it's not by nature if you're trying to be nostalgic.
Yeah.
But the reality is that times change, so do people, so do sports. Like what part you don't have to, we just can't romanticize everything forever and wish that we lived in the past, because like, fuck, 100 years ago, slavery was a thing. Like living in the past is not always a good thing.
Yeah.
You don't always make progress. And I have seen a lot of people get really stuck up about it and not happy, but I think it just is what it is, move on. A sport has to adapt. And a lot of people in our sport are crying for things like more money and better opportunities for athletes. And it is really hard to do so. I'm very much myself, like I do believe in like preservation of culture.
Yeah.
However, I also am like a businessman, and you kind of have to marry the two, and that can be difficult. I think you have to preserve the parts of the sport that you can, whilst aiming to provide the best opportunity for fighters that you can.
Absolutely.
And will this work or not? Well, who knows? We'll just wait and see. But I mean, a lot of people don't consider Lumpinee the same thing, since the old one was torn down anyway. So I think it's Lumpinee by name, but it's not by nostalgic nature. It's just, if you don't agree with it, don't watch it, don't compete in it. If you do, man, well then go for it. Like it's not harming anyone.
Yeah, and if this is like Josh is a high level fighter who was at a point where he was finding it extremely difficult to find a fight. If allowing for these slightly different formats and stuff within Lumpinee is what opens the door for him to get on and compete. Like anything that creates opportunities for high level athletes to compete is like, what do you prefer the alternative of there's just no fights for anyone?
For sure. Yeah, exactly. And especially for foreigners too, because when you look at like the Thai stadium circuit, there's not been a foreigner you've got guys Rafi and the like who did well, and Damien Alamos, but of recent times, to make the kind of money that you would want, like Sangmani money, it's just not a reality. And you've got to try and take the opportunities and the chances that you can, and you've got to, not every two people's career is going to be the same, and you've got to be individualistic with each one and just do what you think is best and manage it appropriately. That's a big thing That's a thing I'm big on, managing careers.
Speaking of, so as far as what's the process going to be like going over there? Is Josh going to go in a little bit early and train a little bit? He's going to kind of go in. How far out is Josh going to ride?
The plan was to go like, I think the plan was to go like a week, 6 or 7 days beforehand.
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, Josh also works for me. I employ Josh full time. Much like I employ David and Max full time as well. They all make full time wages, and Joshy the same as well. So unfortunately for him, I can't have him away any longer than a week. In fact, it makes it hard with the gym. So the plan was, Grant. on the provision that we are hoping that Thailand lifts the recent quarantine restrictions that they placed in, with exception of the Phuket Sandbox program. If you're going into any other part of Thailand, you have to quarantine when you enter for 7 days. So we need them. We're hoping that they will get rid of that before we go. And so the plan would be that we would go sort of 6 or 7 days beforehand. I would go just because I love Thailand and I love hanging out. Joshy would go and train for a bit, and then we'd have the fight and then come home and then get ready for my next trip.
Yeah. Will Josh be kind of preparing and stuff in those few days until at the Fairtex facility, or what?
Yeah, I think the plan would be to stay there. Yeah, to stay at Fairtex.
That'd be nice. Pretty swanky facility.
Yeah, I've never been. I really want to go. It's a cool little spot, man. I've walked past, but I've never been.
Yeah, nice. How many TikTok videos are you going to make with Matt Lucas?
Yeah, is that a collab we're going to?
Hello, world. I want to do one of them. Matt, if you're watching, man, I want to do one when I'm over there. Hello, world. Just really throw everyone off.
Yeah.
That would be good. I'll be there. I'll be on board for that.
Yeah, nice. Thanks, man.
That's the kind of content that I want to see.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
Like you said, you had a next trip after that. So is it going from Asia into England? Is that your next trip?
Yes.
And what are you doing there?
So in March, Max McVicker, it's the homecoming for him. So taking him back to the UK, he's going to fight on Andy Howson's show, the SOA Promotions. It's in Liverpool. Max is from Manchester. It's going to be in Liverpool. He's fighting the number 1 ranked Irish boy of what will be Max's new weight category. So I'm pushing him up to 67 kilos because
I like that move.
Because he's still a growing boy, and it's much better for him health-wise. And he's just as strong as any other 67 kilo fighter I've ever held pads for. So it's the right move for him. And that's going to be his first one. So it's against the number 1 Irish boy at 67 kilos. Andy's show. So we're going to go over for, again, about a week. We get in a week beforehand. I've never been to the UK. So I'm going to go London and just go on a little bit of a tour.
And how did that kind of come together? Of course, you guys have a pretty good relationship with Andy Howson. Did he kind of reach out about bringing Max back over? How did that sort of pathway get established?
It came from actually talking about a different fight, which I can't talk about yet.
Come on.
Planned for one of his shows later in the year.
Yeah.
And it sort of came from that because I was wanting to I was looking at sort of Max's matches and potential matches, and he's got a few locked in here, but just wanted to find him something early. And Andy had this show in March, and it just all came together. And you know what a lot of UK promoters will soon realize once we're over there is, man, he's going to sell a lot of tickets.
Yeah,
it's almost like it's something unique. Because everyone's like, oh, Max is coming home. Like, let's go watch him fight. And he's still got quite a good following because he was fighting when he was 7 and 8 years old over there. And he spent, a good part of his younger formative years there and has a lot of family and a gym connection back there as well. So, it's come apart from that. And that one's, I'm pumped. I can't wait for that.
Plus, I think the storyline's quite cool because, of course, like Max left the UK as a boy. People have been following his career. He had that kind of incredible sort of breakout against Simplayak. So now they've kind of been able to witness from afar Max kind of develop. He's coming back as a man and fighting at the very highest level. Like, I think that's an awesome kind of story to kind of build and bring Max back over.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one I want to keep going back to the UK with him too, especially on some of those circuits like Muay Thai Grand Prix, which obviously has a presence here through Gavin, Darius, and some of the UK promotions like the relationship that we have with Andy, and they'll see that you're quite a powerful prospect if you can sell tickets in 2 separate countries really well.
Yeah.
Man, that for me is a big box ticker, and I think it will be for promoters as well. And this will be a bit of a showing moment for promoters over there, for me as a manager and as a coach to turn around and go, hey, look at what we did. I'd like to go back to the UK. Like, let's do it.
And so, of course, Max is sort of still fairly new to your team. This will be his first. I mean, we had a bit of a false start. This will be his first fight under Muay U. What's it like to have? You know, we've spoken in the past about what it's like to take a fighter like Max, who's got like quite a reputation, and then sort of adopt them into your training methodology and kind of learn to work together. But adding like, I guess, a layer of complexity to that the first time he competes for you, you'll be going over to the other side of the world. What's that process like for you? Or it's just not really a consideration. It's just another venue.
Yeah, it's not really exactly. Whether it's 2 hours apart or it's 24, it's very much the same to me, because the people are the same, the sport is the same, the accents change, but that's about it. Realistically, like it's not much changes for it. Max has fit in with us really well.
Yeah.
He's a really bright young guy, very intelligent, and he's he's fit in. He's fit in great, and he's very much like a lot of the guys that come to the gym. They are open and happy to listen and take my direction. And I mean, I do put my foot down, and I'm like, you got to fucking listen to me. But it's also
not have a choice, but yeah,
you don't have a choice. But in doing so, they have to realize that it's worth it, and he's done that. And man, he's fit in so well that it feels like he's been here for ages. And a lot of the other guys will say that as well. It feels like he's been here for ages. So that fight, the preparation for that, it's no different to when he's going to be fighting back here in Oz in June. Like, there's no difference at all.
Very nice. And do you see kind of like, what do you think the experience would be like for him, like to go and fight in front of his family again? Is that an opportunity he even really saw as available in the near future?
I don't think he did.
Yeah.
One of the things that attracted Max to come with us is that he saw that the number of opportunities that my guys and girls have.
Yeah.
How I manage my fighters and get them as much as I can. And that was one of the things that I'll speak on his behalf, sort of enticed him to come over. And so I'm not sure if he ever thought it was outside the realm, but I didn't think he would happen. I didn't think he would think it would happen so quickly.
Like first cab off the rank.
Yeah, first cab off the rank. Hey, we're going to the UK, but man, he's pumped, and it's a good opportunity on a big show to showcase him, because he was, like you say, Singh was a breakout, but man, Max was really good before Singh.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like a lot of the talented guys that are in the WA bubble, they don't always get as much exposure to the East Coast as you would like.
Yeah.
And so there was either the people who knew Max McVicker and knew he was good, or the others who didn't really. But after the fight with Singh, a lot more people were like, oh shit, like this kid's good. Where's he come from? Little do they know, he's had over 100 fights.
Yeah.
He's been fighting since he was a little kid. Like, he is good. And this is going to be a good opportunity to show Australia and to show the UK, because this opponent is a decent opponent for him, number one Irish boy at that weight. So at least we're going after the top of what we can find. And he'll put on a show, man, because he is good. He's very good.
Yeah. I mean, Max is a guy that I'm very excited to watch. Like, I was looking forward to the fight with Chad with that, of course, didn't get to go ahead. But when I first interviewed Max, had been aware of him for a very long time, but was very, very impressed, as you say, as like how intelligent he is, like just like how articulate and kind of like what, because like when I interviewed Max, I think we stayed on this was in the thick of lockdown. We were on Zoom as we are now. I think we stayed on that Zoom like an hour after, and just got like he's such a personality. That's why I think he will be, especially still being so young and stuff like that. He's a guy that's very sort of marketable in global Muay Thai. Like, and he'll do very well. Yeah, he does love to talk. Yeah. I do have to tell him to shut up sometimes. I love to talk too, so I can't, I can't say anything bad about it, but
I do have to like pull him in a little bit. He can get a bit. He's still young.
Still young.
Yeah, let's put it that way. He's still young. He knows what I'm talking about. When he hears this, he knows what I'm talking about.
So, how's the rest of you? Is there much you can talk about, or you gonna leave us hanging a bit with a bit of mystery?
Was that the rest of the year, did you say?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, it's one. We've got one. Okay. We have maybe an opportunity which is going to be so incredibly unique that I don't think is like anyone in Australian Muay Thai has done before. And so it's like, that's a massive bait and I can't say any more, but I think it might make sense when it's like, when a bit more comes to fruition, because it's still a bit 50-50. So I don't want to say too much and look like a dickhead because it doesn't come to. But man, it's really fucking cool, and it's in a very hot place, and that's all I'm gonna say for now. And there's a bit of sand about. Let's say.
Oh, okay.
There'll be a few. Obviously, hopefully, Joshy gets back in. Davey is due to get back into the ring soon too. Max is, after he fights this one, he's going to be fighting. Hopefully, the plan would be for him to fight Damon Nelson.
I like that.
Damon holds the WBC Australian title at that weight.
That he does.
And that's a bit of a title. And then really that leaves the main sort of WA versus WA, Southpaw versus Southpaw, which a lot of people ask for, which is he and Tyler. So that's another one that is, I would love to have later this year. I've always said I would love to have that fight.
Yeah.
So that's another one there as well. Diandra, obviously with one. And then, I just have a lot of fighters. So, man, it's just fights. It's just nonstop. I love it.
Yeah, like one of the guys I'm really looking forward to seeing more from is my friend Davey. He's had a bit of a rough trot since with the timing of his move to Muay U, because it was, of course, a very, very long time before he first got to go in there. And like similar situation to Max, it's like, okay, first one, George Mann. He's your and then of course that extremely unfortunate day of cancellation with James Honey. Like he's had a pretty rough go the last couple of years in terms of activity, but I know he's got some good ones in the pipeline for this year. Anyone that we haven't touched on here, any like up and comers that might get a little bit less shine that we should be keeping an eye on this year?
I mean, obviously, like Gabrielle already, we spoke about her, and I mean, a lot of people know her, so we don't really need to go on to. But I think this should. I want this to be a good year for Davina as well.
Yep.
Like the Martin sisters together. That's a nice, like, marketable thing as well.
Yep.
You know, the combined for them. I would really like her to have a bit of a standout. But then, also for Davey too. Yeah. Because like you say, he did have that fight against George, and that was a difficult one off the trot, but I was proud of the effort that he put in there. And then leading on from that, like he had the James fight that pulled out on the day, which was a bit of a shit, like fell through on the day, but I really want him to get a bit of a roll through. He's in a similar situation. You know, there's a few guys that are inevitable, like the Toby fight that was matched a few years ago. I know Jake Lund is fighting again. Davey's lost twice to Jake, and I'm sure he'd love to have a chance to avenge that. Davey's also, with me, sitting a little bit lighter. Yeah. So there's chance for Davey's been fighting at 76 for quite a while, but there's chance for him to sort of go 74. And so that maybe opens up fights. Who knows? Maybe like catch weight with guys like Jay Tonkin.
I know he wants that one. He wants
a good one.
Yeah, the people want that fight too.
I think it'd be a great fight.
It would be a good fight.
I think at 74, Jay and Davey would be a very good fight.
I know both of them are very keen on that fight.
I'd love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's make it happen right here. Combat chat. So, yeah, so that, that's a great fight. So there's a bit of an avenue there for Davey as well to open up with some potential catch weight fights. But I think those sort of big, like a potential one with Jay at some possibility, maybe another rematch with Jake, an eventual fight with Toby pending borders and the like. So there's a bit here for him, but I really want him. He didn't get to showcase his new skills and ability like I would have liked to against George, because it is George. He is so intelligent and can just, stop you from doing what you need to do. And how the amount that Davey has developed in the past little while is just incredible. I just can't wait for people to see it. I can't wait for people to show. Yeah.
Because I also think watching that George fight for Davey, it was like you could see that he was different. You know what I mean? Like you can look, and of course, George is like, look, had an incredible performance against George, especially you look at the way George tends to kind of not really break a sweat against people. Like Davey really pushed George for that 5 rounds. But you can see stylistically, he was a very different fighter in there. And that's why I've been super keen to see him get back in there, because I know there's like a lot more to see.
People really box Davey into this like box and low kicker. Like that's what everyone knew Davey as. Or all he can do is punch and low kick. And Davey has a very good Muay Thai brain. Yeah. And he does have quite a good IQ. And I'm not in any way going to say that I'm responsible for that. But I think what he has done by training with me is allowed him to kind of open himself up a bit more and accept that some of that thing's okay, and a bit of a different stylistic approach too. Like I'm not a big, I teach everyone individually. I wouldn't say that our gym has a particular style, but I'm not fond of aggressive styles. And that is probably in the past what Davey was heavily reliant on. And one thing I did with Davey in probably the first 6 months of him joining me was making him relax and making him think. The things that I would say to him when he was sparring wouldn't be, technical things like put this up or use this punch, or it would be things like I would say, think. Yeah. Stop, think, to try and get him to just slow his roll a little bit. And one particular example I can remember is that I took him for some sparring with Rob Whittaker, and him and Charlie Barb and Rob, and this was sort of earlier on, and a guy who he perhaps in the past, just with the style, and Davey would have wanted to trade and just kind of get caught a lot, but my getting him to just Davey relax, he did quite well. And that was one of the main moments for me as a trainer against someone of a decent caliber, where I went, this is actually going to work. I don't have to discard this, because I was trying it for a while, but we didn't really have anyone of a decent caliber to try it against. And then again, I think you saw it with George. I think a past Davey would have got beaten much more convincingly by George and would have made a lot sillier and stupider mistakes. Was Davey upset with himself afterwards? Yeah, of course. But the one thing that I had to say to him was, man, you have to take the good from the bad. Yeah. And there was some things that he did really well there. And I'm super excited for, because he still does have that little aggressive. He's when gyms have like that amateur sometimes he can't chill out in sparring. For me, that's Davey sometimes. Davey, just stop.
That's a big fucking dude as well. Yeah. Doing a good job.
Like if I see he's in one of those moods, I've got to put him with Max or something, because I know that Max can handle himself. But he's a lot smarter now, and he uses his brain a lot better.
Awesome. And that is a very busy start to 2022 that we've just run through. But like we've talked a lot about kind of the fighters on your team, but keen before we sign off here just to chat about yourself and kind of the Muay U brand a little bit. So, of course, you built an incredible, in what is really not a long time that Muay U's been open, has really kind of emerged as, I actually put Muay U in a category that I think only Riddlers is also in, as like kind of a Muay Thai sort of super team, like incredible facility, busy and high caliber fight team. Talk a little bit through about kind of, I guess the journey thus far. Of course, like the last couple of years, you've been a little bit stop-start, but what it's been like developing, branching out on. Obviously, been coaching for quite a long time now, but branching out and really kind of running the show yourself, and what it's been like to develop the team. So, what the learning's been like for you.
For sure. I think I touched on this on the first podcast that we did together, and I've said it on others as well, but the reason I called it Muay U, the U being short for university, was because I was so fond of college sports in America. And I used to watch the fanfare that was attributed to that. And in America, like college football games can have, the Texas Longhorns have 100,000 people go to a football game.
Yeah.
It's everyone is so passionate about the college they went to. And for me, it was like, how amazing would that be for Thai boxing? And that has always, through the past few years, my goal has always been, we are a sports, we're a sports team.
Yeah.
Right? We're not just a Muay Thai gym, or we're not just a coach and some fighters or whatever. I've said to people ever since, like, Canberra has the Canberra Raiders and the Brumbies, and I want it to be Muay U as well.
Yeah.
I've always said that we're a sports team. And if you want to be successful and big, you have to carry yourself in a particular way.
Yep.
Like if you want to be an amateur and act like an amateur, well, you'll be amateurs, but act and carry yourself like a professional, and it will follow through, because the results follow your actions. And that's something that I've always been really big on. And so personally, it's happened quicker than I maybe thought it might have. Like, when I say it snowballed, it really did snowball. And I sometimes I think, oh yeah, fuck, it's been so long, and it hasn't. And I really get confused with this concept of time, because sometimes I think back, or I look at old photos and I think, oh fuck, that was September last year, or we only opened the gym then. But I've always been so steadfast on the approach. And even when people around you or people in your sport are acting like amateurs, it's not a reason that you should too.
Yep.
And my guys know that, my girls know that, my students know that, there's too many Muay Thai gyms for my liking that shouldn't be Muay Thai gyms.
Agree.
Sorry, like that's just the reality of it. One of the biggest things that really shits me off is trainers who it's hard, man. Like I see some, and it's like trainers who hold on to students because they can't give them opportunities, or trainers that lead people astray, or trainers that it's just amateur hour, man. And they've got people who are dedicated to them, but they're never able to give them the opportunity. That just frustrates me sometimes, because the flip side of it is, it's okay if you act a particular way, but don't act something else. You have some who act like they're the best thing in the world, but they're not, and then vice versa. You get some gyms who are like, we're a fitness gym, we have a fight team, we have this, and you're like, oh, good.
Yeah.
You are, absolutely. That's the right thing to do. But then you have some gyms, and it's from the outside looking in, we might look at it and go, that's fucking amateur hour. But they're acting like they're the best.
Yeah.
Like they're top of the top. And they're like, it really frustrates me sometimes. And one thing that I think is the most important is like act professional and be professional. And it will follow. We can't sit here and bitch and moan about not getting fights, or not getting enough money, or not doing this and not doing that, and we're not fucking doing anything about it.
Yeah.
Like for me, that's the hardest part. I hate to see athletes. I hate to see fighters who are like, oh, I'm not getting paid enough. And it's just like, man, what are you doing to raise the profile of the sport? What are you doing to build your name as an athlete? Talk shit about, TikTok influencers all you like. the fact of the money is they make money because of attention.
Yeah.
You do not control any attention. Why should you get more money?
Yeah.
Like,
it's that entitlement thing. Like, it's easy to, like, if you're a Muay Thai fighter, and because I've had many conversations of this nature with people, like, oh, Muay Thai fighters should make more money. What are you saying, right? Because, like, if you're saying, if you're competing on a show and your purse is this much, and you're saying I should be paid more, what you're saying is I contributed more to the kind of gross earnings of this event than I, was paid. Okay, show me a reason why, like, I should be paid more. Yeah, and it's like, you guys have chatted about this on the other show as well. Like, when people go, we should be, this is a good one, we should be paid more because you could die in there. Okay, like, right, that's not really how it works. Like, risk is not what.
No, risk does not dictate money. No, exactly right. And LeBron James is worth hundreds of millions of dollars because he makes the NBA hundreds of millions of dollars.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a numbers game.
Yeah, it's a fucking numbers game. Let's not pretend that it's anything but. Let's take away. What we have to do is stop romanticizing things. Stop fucking romanticizing Muay Thai. Stop doing this Bushido code nonsense. Like, no. This is business. This is money. Let's not fuck around for a second. Let's look at the reality of it. It's a numbers game and it's a money game. There's two sides of it, right? There are those promoters who like don't do anything for the sport because they just run this. They've run the same promotion for 20 years. They know that if they sell 500 tickets, they can line their pocket with 15 grand. They can do it 4 times a year.
Yeah.
They get 60 grand at the end of it. Sweet. Fine. If you want to do that, great. But don't fucking pretend like you're doing something for the sport.
Yep.
On the other hand, you got guys like Sai who are, Sai was one of the first guys to start really doing nice posters, doing vlogs, video attention. He's helped drive and build the profile of our sport a little bit as well, right? Now other promotions are following and copying along. But the athletes have to do the same as well. The athletes have to build their brands. The athletes have to you've got to build yourself up and publicity and act like an athlete.
Yeah.
Not you can't, don't sit here and go, where fighters fight, where the real fighters at. Fuck, shut the fuck up, man. I'm sorry, but I detest I do not like the saying fighters fight and that crap, because it starts to get to a point where people just use it as an excuse.
Yeah.
There was, in the past, when people would say fighters fight, it meant something. Now people just throw it out there. People just say, oh, fighters fight. They use it to cover something, or they just use it willy-nilly. Fighters fight. Oh, fighters fight. I'm doing this fight. Oh, I lost. Yeah, well, fighters fight. Nah.
Congrats.
Man, no. It's been used so many times. It's fucking, I detest it now. In the past, fighters fight was a saying that people could say and use, right? Not anymore, man. Now it's just overused, and it's just like, yeah, and not to flog a dead horse, but the same thing comes in when people, when you have trainers who open gyms, and when they open their gym, they say, oh, this is just a hobby. I'm always going to do this and work a full-time job for the rest of my life. Oh, look at me. I've worked so hard. Like, I work a full-time job and I run a gym. Maybe you're just shit at running a gym, dude.
It's pretty much.
Sorry, but fuck, if you can't make a living off of, if you can't make a full-time living off of something as unique and niche as Muay Thai, and you don't need that much money to survive, man. But if you have to work another full-time job and then you have to tell me how you've been doing it for fucking 75 years or whatever, no, you're just a shit businessman. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, let's call a spade a spade. Don't fucking try and hide it as anything else. My follower count just went down.
Well, this is one of the things. I was having a conversation like this with a friend the other day, and that in Muay Thai, as much like for whatever reason in particular in Muay Thai, one of the problems you get is people wear being shit as like a badge of honor.
It's a badge of honor. That's not something to be, man. Being shit is not something. I did not grow up to be shit, man. Like, you like losing. It's like people like losing. Yeah, in Muay Thai, absolutely. We don't care about our records like we do in pro boxing. But man, if you've lost 5, 6, or 7 times in a row, maybe you're just not that good.
And that's the fighters fight thing as well, right? When people are like, I never picked and chose fight. That's why I never cared about my record. Bro, at the end of the day, like, of course, it's not like pro boxing where you have to be 25-0 and fight tin cans before you matter. That's why we kind of get thrown into the competitive end early. That's why people like Muay Thai. It's one of the things about it. But as you say, like, your record is still an indication of how many times you won and how many times you lost. And that some guys are, as they say, better than their records. You know, they were always fighting at the top end. They had big wins and you can read beyond it. But at the end of the day, if you fought 5 times and you lost them all, you probably weren't a world beater. Like, I never picked and chose. Congrats, mate.
Yeah, congrats. And some people do it and they're okay with it. And they're like, oh yeah, I was never the best, like blah, blah, blah. And you're like, well then sweet, you know, like good, own it.
How'd it go? Yeah.
But some people are they're using it as like a veil.
Yeah.
They're using it as a cover, and I don't know what they're hiding. Like, man, yeah, honestly, you got to be a little bit more honest with yourself, and you just got to wear shit sometimes. It's okay if you fuck, you shouldn't want to lose. Like, I can't understand the psychology behind it. I struggle with it, and I don't, as trainers, we have a responsibility of our fighters. Trainers should not brag about having fighters losing all the time because they don't care and they take the fights anyway.
Yeah.
To me, that is not something to brag about. There is something commendable in taking a fight because someone's opponent pulled out or what have you. Like, I think that is commendable in certain instances, in certain situations. But there are times when people, again, they wear that like a badge of honor.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with it. At the end of the day, you do your gym, your business, your life, but I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
I think you should, I don't think it's the right thing to do by your fighters if you were to just keep throwing them to the fucking wolves time and time again so that you can say that you don't say no.
Yeah, take on all comers.
Yeah, sometimes you should say no, man.
I have times I have said no and I have the conversation. And you know what? Most of the smart promoters get it.
Yeah.
Most of the smart trainers, they get it and they agree. And I'm not talking about like arguing over a kilo or whatever. There's plenty of times when I'm like, yeah, no. Look, there was a perfect instance lately with one of my fighters where I was like, look, I would be happy to give up weight or experience, but I'm giving up both.
Yeah.
Quite significantly. So to me, I'm like, I'm not so sure about this. And so I said no. And I gave my reasons why. We're giving up weight by a few kilos and we're giving up experience by quite a few fights. So based off of that, I'm not comfortable accepting this fight, right? Like that's an example of when I think it's okay. And I'm not talking about those 500s or those kilos, but I think we know what I am talking about when people just fucking just like, oh, whatever. Yeah, we'll do it. Yeah, whatever, we'll do it. Man, it can be frustrating sometimes, but not my circus.
Yeah. And that same thing is like, what always kind of annoyed me is like, when I hear people who are gym owners talking about, like, they almost scoff. It's that tall poppy thing where they're like, that gym's just all about social media and Instagram. And it's like, bro, they are much busier than you.
Yeah, man, we cop it. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. We cop it. I get people, guys, if you're not happy with what I'm saying and you're talking shit about me, there's a chance it's going to come back to me. I'm friends with lots of people, just before you say it, FYI, but if you're watching this. But man, we get it. We get it all the time because we're quite, we have a lot of, the girls do a good job on social for me. And I've got a lot of fighters who are quite active on social media and stuff. But man, you let what you do talk at the end of the day. You let what you do talk. And one thing I want to put to a lot of people is if you are going out of your way to speak bad about someone, what is wrong in your life?
Facts.
What is the thing that you currently have which is making you do that? Is it jealousy? Is it anger? Is it like, just stop for a second and think, why am I doing this? And it usually is, envy or jealousy or something like that, man. And I very much am like, back in my early 20s, I would not have been as good as I am now at like brushing things off. I was not the best, man. I used to get really hot-headed quite easily, but I've really learned to control myself and almost flip it. Like there's compassion. For me, it's like compassion. When I hear someone speaks bad of me, it's like, I'm not mad anymore. I once was, but I'm not anymore. There's compassion of like, fuck, why does that person feel that way? Like, what's wrong with them? What's wrong in their lives? You know, like what's going on? And when you think about it that way, fuck, it's not really that bad. It's just like water off a duck's back.
Yeah.
And then occasionally there's one thing I hear and it fucking completely sets me off. and I go the complete opposite. And I'm fucking throwing shit around my office.
Yeah. It's one of those things as well. If you have time and energy to make a post, make a story, or even just like fucking calling up and talking to someone about like this bad shit, it's like basically all you're just doing is deriving from the fact of the energy that you should be doing is, and what you're probably afraid of is taking inventory of your stock of saying, well, I suck at this. What can I actually do to get better at it and how to make myself better?
Yeah, you are absolutely right. The energy, like, is it worth it? That's another one to ask yourself. Is it worth it to send this message or to do this thing that's not actually going to benefit my life in any way? Is it worth it? If you think it is, well, then go for it. But man, well,
it's not going to make you better if fucking just talking shit. How's that going to make you better on your side? You know.
But the other thing is people are going to talk shit so long as the sun revolves around the earth.
Yeah.
That's one thing I've realized is you just won't escape it. And usually if you're doing better, you take it. If you're doing better and more people are talking shit, you take it as a good thing.
Yeah, true.
And you take it as a good thing, and you keep doing what you're doing that's making people talk shit about you. Because at the end of the day, fuck, Bill Gates doesn't have to tell people he's rich. They just know.
Yeah.
That's what microchips are for.
I mean, like, for me, I think this is one of the things that, like, one of my, like, philosophies that the reason I kept doing, like, the podcast like this is, like, your life will change for the better when you learn to look at what other people do and, like, take inspiration from it. Like, when I see anyone else in Australian Muay Thai doing well, I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, and that's why, like, we do this, because I want people, like, if I, and that's why I made so many friends across Australian Muay Thai and so many contacts and stuff like that, is because, like, if someone's over here doing something cool, like, I have heard this so much since I first started, is like, I remember being in an environment of, like, every time someone is doing well, here's 5 reasons why it's you know, why, oh, it's not really that, you know, oh, this is why he had it handed to him or something. Like, if I see someone doing well, I take it at complete face value. That's sick. Like, and then, like, you roll into training, like, so-and-so won this, like, at a fighter's level, you see someone, you know, win a big fight or someone with one championship or something like that. And that's like, you're like, sick. Like, let's work hard and maybe I can get there one day as well. Like, that's, whereas if you're always around just detracting from everyone, you get a false idea of, like, what it is to achieve anything, because you're feeling like no one else is doing well. You just don't have what they have. Like, nothing's within, like, it's within your control to go and get what they have.
Yeah.
But instead you try to take away from what they've done.
And build each other up. And we need to do it as a community to build each other up. Don't get me wrong. I think beef is important too. It adds a little bit of something. There's something we're missing sometimes in Muay Thai, like a little bit of drama, a little bit of beef. Like, I think it's a good thing sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think more people should, like, instead of face up, I think we've also got a lot of spineless people as well. Like, they talk shit behind the backs.
Yeah.
Hey, actually, guys, if you got something to say about someone, say it out loud. Start some beef, man. It's good for promoters. Let them be able to put something on. I honestly think that if you got a problem, let's man, talk it out. Get it out there. Talk some shit.
I agree.
Back. Like, all right, cool. Because that actually, there's that little bit missing. I had an argument, and I think you might have. Were you there, Hugh?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're going to say.
Top of a Korean barbecue in Bangkok, in Koreatown with Aram, arguing about how we need more dickheads in Thai boxing like they have in the UFC. And my whole point was not for the arrogance, but for the fact that at the end of the day, it does create attention.
Yeah.
And sometimes we miss it, man. I miss like I cannot think of a Thai boxing rivalry since Wayne and McPhee.
Yeah.
I can't think of one since. And man, that was so big and that was awesome. And those fights, like there was something about them. That was like, there was something about them. And I feel like we need that back a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
But that aside, coming back to what you were saying, you feel good building each other up.
Yeah.
Support each other, build each other up. I want to, like, especially for me personally, like I want to see other people succeed. I want people to come to me and be like, hey, you have 2 people on one championship. What would be a good way for me to get my fighters there? And I might not have the answer, but man, I would love to help you. And
yeah, absolutely.
or, hey, you have 3 different overseas fights, 3 different countries over 3 months. Like, how did you do that? I want to help. Like, for me, those kind of experiences is what makes life worth living. Like, money is infinite. We make plenty of money. I can make money until the cows come home. It's experiences and helping people and growing a community. Like, that's what keeps me going above everything. I would not, guys, and Shane, you know what I'm saying when I say that we are not in Thai boxing for the money. Like, there's a lot different businesses that we could have put our money into, which probably would have had better reward if we applied ourselves the same. I'm not in it for money. Do I make money as a result of it? Absolutely, but it's not the primary thing. I absolutely think you should make money for what you're good at and make as fucking much of it as you can, and do not feel bad for that. However, the thing that keeps me going is that, man, it's like community and success and building, and there's something to be said for that, because, and I say it to everyone, you can't take your bank account to your grave. But when people are standing around when people are standing around your casket at your funeral, are they talking about the amount of money that you made, or are they talking about how you impacted their lives? And that, for me, is one of the things that's the real thing that keeps me going.
Nice. And I think that's a good thing to end on as well. That's a good couple.
Justice at the end.
It's a very nice
finish. We'll sign off there.
Was there anything else? Like we said, there's a lot going on in your world, but was there anything that we didn't touch on that you wanted to give a shout before we sign off?
Hey, shout out to Warriors of the Moncon. I feel like they always should have a shout out, because Owen does, man, he's a good guy that, you know, like the whole money versus passion thing.
He's a legend.
Yeah, we played a bit of pickup the other weekend. We played a little bit of one-on-one basketball. He's trying to up his skills there. He's been watching a bit of Professor Grayson, if you don't know who that is. But yeah, shout out to him, because he's a good dude for the community. He's a good dude for Muay Thai and the content that he produces. That, you know, like videos like that one, that slow-mo video of the Diandra's head kick landing on the lander. Like, it was poetic, and we need storytellers.
And he's one of the best in that area.
Oh man, he's incredible. Between him and, like, I wish him and Tom Gathercole could have a creative baby of some description. You know, like, between the two of them, him and throw William Liu for a weird mix into it, and like, man, we have, shout out to him, because that's why I wore the shirt, and Hugh, I knew you would wear yours as well. Guys like that.
Take it off.
guys like, yeah, you haven't taken it off since you got it. Guys like that deserve a bit of recognition. I could sit here for days and read everyone and everything out, and I can give props to you guys and people like Cy and Andy who are my good mates and everyone else. But for anyone who is actively trying to build and develop the sport, even if it's in a small way, just, man, keep doing it. And yeah, like, fuck, it's the sport that we all love and we're in it and we want to be in it until the day that we die. But these people need to keep coming around and we need to keep supporting them and we need to keep building and driving. And times when it can get tough, man, there's plenty of times when I open Facebook and read Facebook for like 3 minutes and I want to run head first into a brick wall as fast as I can. And we won't get onto it so that you don't lose any subscribers. But it's like focusing on the positive side. Yeah, storytellers and people that are actively trying to contribute to the sport, not take away from it in any little way. Man, shout out to them and shout out to you guys and shout out to everyone. And yeah, for me, I mean, you know me, I could talk for 50 hours. So I just put a plug in. I just cork myself, man. Otherwise.
Awesome. But yeah, appreciate it. Thank you very much. And thanks for coming on today.
I'm pretty sure you're our most repeated guest now.
Oh,
I don't think anyone else has as many visits as.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you might have pulled ahead of Andrew Punham.
Oh, yeah,
oh, unlucky, Andy.
if you look at
up on Thursday.
you should have like a tally of like the Muay Thai. I think it's like 2 for Sai and
2 for Sai.
How many for Andy then?
Andy's probably on 2 or 3.
And Andy.
You've been here at least 3 times, yeah.
Tune into the Muay Thai Hour, everyone. If you're not like podcast plug on a podcast plug, we do like to give each other love. We do give shout outs to the combat chat regularly because you guys are everywhere and do cover everything as well. I reckon people make it further through your episodes than they do ours, though. I mean, we're a bit, yeah, we create a bit of division sometimes. I think we're a little bit, bit liberal with our comments. We're a little bit, we just chuck them out there. We don't really care as much. We sort of.
Yours is much more a window into a private conversation, whereas ours is a little bit more.
It's like the Fairtex couch.
Look, if you could read our group chats, it would be, it would not be good.
But sometimes like someone says something and I'm like, I know what that's in reference to, but no one else does.
We like to drop the subtle Easter egg, man. We like to drop, we're like video game developers that put in video games, man. We like to drop subtle jokes that only a few people pick up on and everyone else sort of wafts over. But
I like it.
That keep up to date. But also, man, if anyone wants help with anything, ask me. I know that's such a broad thing to say, but it goes back to what I was saying earlier. If there is anything that I can do to help anyone, I want to give that to you. And vice versa. If there's anything that you think you can help me with in any way, like, please come to me, like an open collaboration of ideas. But if there is something that you think I can help you with in any way, please reach out to me. Like, on Instagram, on Facebook Messenger, through our email, whatever it might be. If I can help you, I'm happy because it is giving without the expectation of return. I do not expect anything in return, man. I do just want to help. So if anyone wants help with anything, please holler.
So there you have it. If you need dating advice, hit up Kieran Walsh. Anything at all.
All right, cool. So yeah, it's been a good start to the year, that one. And like, so yeah, remember, follow us on Instagram at Combat Chat Podcast. We're also on YouTube as well before Mike fucks it, obviously. Perfect time. Yep. And share the episode, guys. As always, share the love out from there for the love of Muay Thai. Okay. Thank you, Kieran, for jumping on.
Thank you very much, sir. Always a pleasure.
Yep. And we'll catch everyone next time.
See ya.
Peace.